All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast, brought to you by Ducks Unlimited. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
What were we brought to you by?
Ducks Unlimited.
Oh, yeah. We've had a bunch of Ducks Unlimited guys out here.
We have.
Great organization.
Great people do a lot of great things. With us today from the 4th Congressional District in Tempe, Arizona, former NFL player, a preacher, Mr. Jerone Davison, running as a Republican and a Trump Republican. Can I say that?
Say amen, somebody. Say amen, somebody. They're absolutely true, man. I do love President Donald Trump. I think he's the greatest president we've had since Abraham Lincoln. I think he's an amazing man, and I'm proud to stand up and represent him.
Now, how is it possible for a black man to represent a racist president? Because the mainstream media makes us think Donald J. Trump is a racist.
Because I don't believe the lying prophet, the false prophet media. I believe these people have an agenda to work with globalists to take America down. They are evil. They are wicked. And I believe that being a pastor and a Christian and one who studies the spiritual battle that's taking place in this country and around the world, I believe the spirit of Satan is operating in them people. They are liars and deceivers, and they are accusers. And because President Donald Trump is an outsider and one who wants to restore the power back to the people and not to the elites, they don't want to give him the ball. You understand? They don't want him to give power back to the people because they have an agenda that they want to release by 2030.
2030? That's when the deadline is?
The deadline is to have America subdued by 2030, but I think they're ahead of schedule. And if we don't secure this election, if we don't all come out and energize ourselves, get our children out there and knock doors, have prayer meetings, call our neighbors, try to convince our Democrat and independent neighbors to get involved in this for our freedom, then we're going to lose it. And you're going to see candidates like myself who are true America First candidates, who want the power to the people, who want to represent the people to the fullest. We're going to be dinosaurs because if they take this election, there will be another fair election ever again in this country. It'll be over. That's what I believe.
I don't think we had a fair election in 2020.
And I totally agree, because before I even decided to run for Congress, I was at the tabulation center right outside here in Arizona when they stole the election from President Donald Trump. I had a podcast. I was doing YouTube on 2020, and that night my 2,000 subscribers and I were 200,000 subscribers and I were watching the election. And when they shut it down in Georgia and shut it down here in Arizona, they called Arizona early, by the way. And I was like, wait a minute, this is weird, man. I live in Maricopa County. I drive all over this place. Everybody I see are Trump supporters. There's no way Biden won Arizona. There's no way. So when they stole that election, I was at the tabulation center. I was the loudest voice. I was praying for people. People were crying. They were emotional. And they had a fence around it. And I told the police officers they need to remove this fence because this tabulation center belongs to us, the people. You can't fence us out from shut us out of our own building. And so they was threatening to arrest me. And so because of that theft, man, a fire from the Spirit of God just swelled up in me so bad. And they ended up kicking me off of YouTube. And I said, I got to do something about that. I couldn't call them. I couldn't contact them. There's no phone number, nothing. When they kick you off of YouTube, you're done. Yeah. And so I came up with an Internet Bill of Rights, and we can talk about that a little further.
I am interested in that because if you look at the role that social media played, YouTube and a lot of the censorship that you're seeing across X is getting a little bit better now that Elon's taken it over. But it was just a blackout almost of conservative ideas in 2020. And if you said the wrong thing, or if you tripped the wrong algorithm, you were shadow banned and your message was not getting out. So, and I understand that these are also private companies. So it's kind of a fine line, but how do you juggle the two?
they're not a private company. You can't have a Title 230 and call yourself a privately ran entity.
What is the 2230?
They are there.
Can you explain that?
Title 230 it protects them from lawsuits from things that are stated on their platform. So as long as they're not an editing platform like a newspaper, television show, news show, then they give people the right to freely speak. Not only did we give them government protection, but we also subsidize those companies with money.
Mm-hmm.
We gave them money to censor us. We gave them money to kick us off of these platforms. And my friends, what is the price of freedom? What is the price of freedom of speech? Anybody know? It might cost something like $44 billion for one platform.
Wow.
When it should be freedom of speech. And my Internet Bill of Rights is going to take back those platforms as social squares, as social squares and speaking on those platforms. So also, not only my platform is for freedom of speech, but it takes back the greatest commodity in the world right now. Y'all know that, right? That data is the greatest commodity in the world. Right. Every time you use your phone, every time you Google, every time you text, every time you talk, and even when your phone is off, it's collecting data on you. They sell that data. They sell it to the algorithm places. And just like they do in college sports, those athletes are making millions of dollars and don't even have to go to the NFL. I'm jealous of those kids. Because when I was at ASU, I was struggling, man. I had to work a job while I played the season to have food in my dorm. You know what I mean? These guys are making millions, and we could do the same thing. We can either opt out and say, don't use or sell my data, or like your grandmother, she can subsidize or maybe bring in another $300 or $400 a month on her data. These people are making trillions of dollars, man.
That's interesting. So it would kind of be like selling your electricity. Like if you had solar or something, you sell that back to the electric company. Yes. You could do the same with data theoretically.
That's right. Absolutely.
That's a fascinating idea.
But they're making plenty of money on us, and while they steal our data. So my Internet Bill of Rights would do that. My Internet Bill of Rights would also stop social scoring. That they're trying to give us a rating, a social score that would even block us from being able to rent an apartment, to buy a car, to take a flight, to travel. They're doing it in China right now.
Right.
And we don't have any Republicans who are offensive minded. I played in the NFL. I was a fullback at the NFL. And I was a tailback at ASU, 6'1", 230 pounds as a tailback at ASU. And I can hit it too, baby. I can get down. I hit that sideline and it's over. You know what I mean? Close the door. Good night. It's a home run, baby. I was bringing it. And I had so much fun. And I love to run up the middle. Herschel Walker was one of my favorites. Bo Jackson, of course, was one of my favorites when I was coming up. And we all three of us have pretty much the same body type, but I don't have their speed. I'm more of a 4.5 guy. Those dudes are running 4.1. Bo Jackson ran like a 4.19. Herschel Walker ran a 4.3. Me, I'm a slow 4.5 kind of stuff.
They said, have you heard the story from Bo where they wanted, he was running the 40 and his trainer was like, damn it, run the 40. All right. Like, just do it. And he said, all right, but grab my bag and meet me at the car, 'cause I'm not stopping once I get going. And they said he was sub 4. Said he was sub 4 when he did it.
He could go. All right. I got a couple questions for you. Everybody wants to be in Congress, but everybody that gets to Congress runs on one thing: term limits. They always talk about term limits, but once they get to Washington, D.C., you don't ever hear term limits from them ever again. What is it going to take for the American people? That's because that's one of the things Americans want. I don't give a crap if you're a Democrat or you're a Republican, you want term limits. And we hear about it all the time. The same people that are running our country now, if you look at at some kind of investigation from 1990, you're seeing young congressmen, and it's the same people we have now in there. We want term limits. What's it going to take for us to get a politician that's going to get up there and actually bring up term limits once they get in office?
What's it going to take? You're going to take somebody like me getting in there and keep putting it and hammering it and hammering it and hammering it. There's no way that these people like Grassley and what's that one, Frankenstein out here, out of San Francisco, they are senile, they're old, and they're too old. They was telling her team was telling her what to vote for. And that was right there live on television. That right there should have been enough to disqualify her from her seat immediately. When they get to a certain age and they're starting to lose their mental faculties, that's time for them to go. But I believe the Senate, they get 6-year cycle. In the House, they only get 2-year cycle. But I believe that it should only be 3 terms for the House and 2 terms for the Senate, and that's it. That's what I believe.
I think that's a good thing.
People was upset with me last year. I said I want to get in there and help support President Donald Trump. When President Donald Trump was in there, we had the House and we had the Senate, and we still couldn't get the wall.
Yeah,
done.
that's.
And you see now it's a thorn in our flesh today. Our Republicans are weak, spineless punks, and I'm gonna tell you something too. They're running out the clock. They're running out the clock. Okay, and they did this. When Trump was in office, they ran out the clock for the FBI, and they're running out the clock now. They could have brought justice to Biden, and they could have impeached him immediately on that border alone.
Yeah,
I hope
the border alone is an impeachable offense for him, and they can get, instead of waiting for bank records and all this kind of stuff, they're running out the clock, man. Come on.
I cannot stand Joe Biden, but I don't think Joe Biden's running the office. I think we're seeing Barack and Michelle Obama's 3rd term is what I think we're seeing right now. I think he's running the country, but I don't want to see him impeach Biden. I want to see his ass run against Trump in the next election. I don't want him to bring in Michelle Obama. I don't want to bring him in Gavin Newsom. I don't want to bring in Gay Pete. I don't want to bring in nobody. I want to see Biden run. I don't want to see him impeach him.
Do you think it's going to be Biden? Because I do not think it's going to be Biden in November.
The clock's running out to change people.
I think they're going to. I think it's going to be a real quick type of in and out substitution.
Well, I was thinking that too before we came into the new year, but now that we're in January now, man. And for them to do a substitute this late in the game, it's going to look real bad. It's going to look real bad. And if they do that, I believe every Republican should be saying they knew that this man was old. They knew he was flawed. They knew that he could not run the country. Who's been running the country for the last 3.5 years? And so if you know that he's bad and damaged goods, so why haven't y'all blown the whistle on that? Why haven't y'all even did the removed him under Amendment 25?
Yeah.
So I think that's what we should do. We should talk about the Democrats. All they want is power. It doesn't matter. They can bring in Frankenstein.
Mm-hmm.
They can bring in somebody who's half dead.
Well, they've got that.
And it'll be like the weekend at Bernie's.
That's who they have now. That's what they want. They've got someone they can control because he don't know what's going on, and it's obvious.
Yeah.
It's gotten to where I feel bad for Biden because he doesn't know. He doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't know if he's coming or going. I mean, it is. You see him on television. He gets lost all the time. He gets confused all the time, and they're just propping him up. And it's getting to where it's number one. It's embarrassing for the United States, but like at some point, it's just like, geez, you feel bad for the guy to even be going through this.
What are your
because he doesn't know anymore.
What are your thoughts on funding Ukraine? Because I think if you took a poll in America, I would say 70 to 80% of Americans do not want to see us give another dime to a foreign entity. What are your thoughts?
When they first went to the war, I said absolutely not. I wouldn't give them a dime. What about those European nations over there? What about Germany? What about all those other nations over there? Why can't they take care of it? That's their backyard. We have no dog in this.
Amen.
Okay, we have open borders. We have high inflation. I have constituents here in my district who are struggling, man. They can't make ends meet, and we're subsidizing the income of Ukraine. And our folks over here are struggling because of those illegal borders coming in to our region. Rent has gone up 30 to 40%. Okay, before Biden got in office, the average rent in Arizona was like $1,200. Now we're looking at close to $2,000. I was on the campus of Arizona State talking to the young people, and they wouldn't listen to me because they heard that I was a Republican. And then when I told them, I said, "How much is your rent? Do you want lower rent?" I got their attention at that point.
Yeah.
And I told them, I said, when they're bringing these illegals over here, the landowners and apartment owners are getting subsidized by the government to house them. They're getting free housing, and the government is paying them $2,000 for a single bedroom. That makes your rent go up.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know that society is telling you, and I'm a pastor, I'm a Christian, I love people, but the Bible does not tell us to take care of other people's children before we take care of our own. And as a citizen of the United States, we should take care of the citizens of this country first. It is infidelic, it is moronic to take care of grown people coming across this border. I'm talking about grown men who are strong enough to get their own job in their own country, and we're paying them $10,000 a month, giving them free housing and free medical. And I'm gonna tell y'all a story here, brothers, because I was dying. I got poisoned after I released my viral ad last year. I got poisoned. I was fighting for my life. But many people, and I was talking to some people here in Arizona, they don't even know that. They didn't even know that the media didn't do a story about that because I'm a black conservative and my life doesn't matter to anybody.
How were you poisoned?
I was poisoned with a certain poison. They said it probably could have gone into my skin or through something I drank. But it was a specific poison. It wasn't a food poisoning, but it shut down my kidneys, man. My stomach was in such pain. I never had that kind of pain in my life. A headache. I couldn't stand up straight. My back was in great pain. I checked myself into Tempe St. Luke's Hospital around 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
When I got out of the car, it was like I just got out of the swimming pool. I was sweating heavily, and I don't even remember how I got there.
Wow.
Man, they made me wait. Do you know when I went over there to sit down, they didn't take me immediately to the back. They made me wait behind new border crossers. The emergency room was packed with people from the border. They had bags and paperwork. So I ended up having to lay on the floor because I couldn't stand up. I couldn't sit down. I was in pain. So I laid on the cold floor, a taxpayer, a citizen of this country. The doctor didn't get to me till 7 o'clock. So for 4 hours, I laid there dying. By the time they got to me, my pulse was just about gone. They airlifted me to Banners and saved my life. Okay? But this is the priority they're giving to them because they want power. And if the American people out there would give me a chance and tell everybody to put Jerone Davison in Congress, I promise you, I will fight for you.
How do you think that they got to you? Was there a time that you look back now and you're like, oh, that's when they hit me?
Man, and everybody asked me that. That was 2 weeks out from the primary. And so, I was going to 4 and 5 events a day.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody told me that they probably could have put it on my door handle.
Whoa.
There was a lady, a Republican lady, 6 years ago who was running against the incumbent that I'm going to be going against once I win the primary. She was poisoned.
Wow.
The CIA.
Well, I believe it was the FBI because I was being followed everywhere. After I dropped that viral ad, "Make Rifles Great Again," it went super viral. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It went crazy.
Yeah. What?
Where I was saying,
what was that like? Because you had the ad was incredible. When you were making that ad, did you know like, okay, this is gonna pop?
I knew it was gonna pop, and I knew it was gonna touch a nerve with the Democrats because a lot of the new generation of black kids don't know that the Democrats are the ones and the perpetuators for the KKK. Right. They didn't know that they was the ones that was doing the Jim Crow. And Joe Biden get up there talking about Jim Crow 2.0. Like, hey man, he's pushing his agenda. He know what Jim Crow is. It's a Democrat thing. Yeah. Jim Crow was a Democrat.
Yeah.
And so I grew up in the South. I knew, but it woke up so many black people, man. I was a speaker at a conference down in Atlanta. And man, there were some people that traveled from Florida to come over and meet me and say, you know what, man, you woke me up. And they're black. They said, man, you woke me up. I started doing research on that. And some of them was even in tears because they have been supporting the very people who hate them. You understand? So that 30 seconds, just 30 seconds, it was enough to put my thumbs in the eye of the devil. And the Democrats hated that. So on Twitter, before it became X, before he bought it, that thing in 2 hours, it went up to about 4 million views in just 2 hours.
That's crazy.
So Twitter began to suppress the numbers, and they held it at 6 million. That's it. It never went past 6 million. Never, even to this day. But people still love it and share it.
And even like if you look at some of the stuff Biden said, like when he was in Congress, like totally racist.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say the word. He called black people niggers. He didn't want schools to be joined together. He wanted to keep them segregated. And there's video footage of it. If you ain't black, if you don't vote for me, do you know what he was saying when he said it? I'll say this to black people. Because just like a horse owner or an animal trainer or a dog trainer, they know how to keep their dogs. They know how to train them to make them loyal. They know how to give them a certain identity. And this is what Jim Crow and many of those people in the South, those Klansmen and all that kind of stuff, like Robert E. Byrd, who Barack Obama and Michelle and Biden and what's her name, Hillary Clinton, were all at his funeral singing his praises and calling him their mentor, and that America was great with this racist KKK lord. So when he said, you ain't black if you don't vote for me, that was saying this: I'm responsible for giving you your identity. I made black people what they are. I'm the one that gave you the image of you ain't no good. You're a low down snake. You're not faithful to your woman. You don't like your kids. You're a thug. You're a killer. You're a murderer. All you can do is rap. You're just a ball player. That kind of thing. You're a booty popping hoe. You ain't nothing. You got to be raunchy. And that's what they celebrate. So my 30-second ad on YouTube and different platforms, they said that it was against their community stuff. But you'll put a black woman on there talking about popping her coochie and shaking her butt and all that dirty kind of stuff. That's acceptable.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to ask.
That's okay.
I want to ask, since we talked about this, I think Black Lives Matter is the biggest fraud put on the black community probably ever. It's nothing but taking money from big corporations, people that have white guilt or privilege guilt or whatever the hell you want to call it, instead of just, I worked hard and got my shit. I grew up poor, so I don't owe people shit. I didn't have nothing given to me my whole life, so I don't buy into all that bullshit. Mm-hmm. But the Black Lives Matter deal, I have yet to hear of one Black Lives Matter scholarship, one Black Lives Matter youth center built anywhere. Black Lives Matter is no different than the Muslim religion to me at all. Nothing at all. They don't do nothing but take. But the media buys into that bullshit. But I have noticed a huge trend lately where the black people, there's a group, and I'm going to say the word, it's called Niggers for Trump. And I saw your picture with those guys. Those people,
oh, you saw that?
They are talking, they're coming from the inner city and they're supporting Trump because they're sick and tired of being used by the Democrats. The Democrats have used the black people since 1962.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Lyndon B. Johnson, when he attached welfare to the civil rights movement, the civil rights began under Lincoln, right? But Lyndon B. Johnson took it and attached welfare to it. And when he did that, now Lyndon B. Johnson was a lunatic.
Yes,
he was a lunatic. I mean, according to the Moon's position, he would have fits and stuff throughout the White House, and he was doing what Clinton did in the White House with women and men and all kinds of stuff, run through the White House naked. And I'm hearing that Joe Biden's doing some of the same thing.
Wow.
He's a lunatic. He's crazy.
He used to pull his,
and that's what happened. That's what happens when you worship Satan.
Yeah.
Didn't he used to pull his dick out in meetings?
So, that's how we got the term Big Johnson, was from Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah, exactly. You guys do your research. So check this out. So he attached that to welfare, and then he said, "I'm going to have these niggers voting Democrat for the next 200 years." Now, you have these platforms like Snoops or Snopes or whatever they are. They're supposed to be fact checkers and all this truth checkers. Well, George Soros gave them a bunch of money, and they always go against the history. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if you get on Google, you're going to run across Snopes on that. It said, "We're not sure if Lyndon B. Johnson said that or not," or they will cherry pick a very minute point in a statement and say it's not true because of this very little minute point.
Right.
You know. We want to ban all of this fact checking. Mm-hmm. Let the people do their own research. Let people debate on these platforms. It's the new social media. It is the new public square. And we all need to be able to debate these terms. Hate speech isn't a crime. Okay. Hate speech does not circumvent the First Amendment.
Right.
And so one of the things I'm going to Congress for is to be a freedom fighter. And when you have dinosaur Republicans like we have today, who are only reactive, they're not proactive. They're reactive, and their reactions are very slow. It takes them years and years and years and years to come to a conclusion on something, just like they're doing now with this impeachment of Biden or closing the border. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now, we could have closed that border a long time ago. Yeah. But even this guy that's Speaker of the House, Johnson, stop hiding behind your Christianity and get out there and do something, man. Okay. So because when Moses was at the Red Sea and Pharaoh was chasing behind him, he kneeled down and began to pray. And God told him, said, "Get up off your knees. Stop praying to me." He said, "It's time to take action." Right. He said, "Now, what is that in your hand?" And Moses said, "Well, it's a rod." He says, "Is that the same rod you struck the Nile and turned it into blood? Is that the same one that you sent frogs?" He said, "Well, then stretch it out. Do something." And it's time now for the Republican Party to do something. And I want to get in Congress and be a freedom fighter and go out years in front of the American people and preserve their freedom from AI, all of these different stuff. It is coming, and it's going to have more rights than the American people. We have to stop it. And I want to say to everybody that's listening, if you pull up to a Taco Bell and they don't have a human being in there, drive off. Don't support stuff like that. Don't support it because it's taken away. See, this is coming up, brother Andy and my man. This is really going to be a survival between humanity and AI.
Yeah. It
Understand?
is.
And that's what they're trying to make.
And it's scary too. I mean, everybody watched the Terminator and thought that was just some science fiction movie, but
That's the future.
I mean, there's a lot of things that might be coming down the pipe that are very, very scary.
I'll tell you
and
how,
even just disinformation. I've seen AI clips where they'll take like Joe Rogan or something, that he's got enough stuff out there that they can mesh together a 30-second soundbite and make it say whatever they want it to say in Joe Rogan's voice. Like if you've got enough stuff out there,
right.
they can AI anything now, almost.
Well, see, they got you now. See, right now they can take this video and they can take out a video, super structure your image and your voice.
Yeah.
And so this is what's coming. And it's not coming. It's actually here.
I want to go back
here.
to the border for just a minute. One of the ways we can fix the border is a real simple fix. You call the Mexican president up and you say, listen, we're not going to do any financial transfers between Mexico and the United States as long as you got your border open. They'd have that sumbitch closed down in 3 minutes. Because all the money from America that goes over there, and we could tell him the same with the drug cartel. If you don't get the drug cartel fixed, we're gonna shut off all transactions here, all the money that's sent back there, because Mexico needs the American dollar, truthfully. But the problem is the CIA is getting funded by all them drug cartels.
Yes,
our government's in bed with all them people. They don't want to shut it. They didn't when Ronald Reagan was in office till today. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And it's a shame what's happened to those border cities. But another problem we have is the people that live up north that's never been on the Mexican border. They go to Cancun. I'm guilty of this. Go to Puerto Vallarta. They go to Cabo. They don't see a lot of bad things. They see this place where you get treated really well. It's not as expensive.
Yeah.
But when you go to the Mexican-United States border, it's freaking Afghanistan down there right now.
Absolutely. It's devastating. And I'm a couple of hours away from the border here in Arizona. We have an immediate impact in our community by this stuff. Crime goes up. Homelessness goes up. A drug, fentanyl, people are dropping dead. Understand? Young people, old people, they're dying. There's a young girl in my church. I'm a pastor. Her and her mother attends my church. She had a mental episode. She got touched as a kid, and God bless all of the kids. But she was molested as a child by her uncle, and she had some sexual problems, and she thought she was a boy and wanted to be a boy, and I thought maybe that was a mental mechanism to try to protect herself. But anyway, she checked into a mental institution down in Tucson, and while she was in there, somebody gave her some fentanyl. She died. I did her funeral about 2 months ago. You see, so fentanyl it's gotten that close to home with me. And there's a lot of young people, and I'm seeing it on Facebook, and I'm hearing it. I'm getting letters and saying, Mr. Davison, we hope you get in Congress because we need to close the border. My son, here's my beautiful son who died, and this is his first time. Some of these are just like kids, high school kids, just like I was young before. You know what I mean? You tried weed for the first time at a party, you know what I mean? But it does not deserve the death sentence.
Right. Yeah, that's it's a scary. I mean, it's in everything now. Like, there's a lot. They said, if you're taking Adderall for like finals and stuff in college, don't buy anything off the street. Like you gotta have you definitely need to have a prescription for it. Get it from a pharmacy, because even Adderall now, it's some of it's they make it's laced with fentanyl. Or it could just be a trace of fentanyl from the press that they were using earlier that's still in contact with the Adderall pills that they're making. It's a scary time.
Yeah, let me go back to what he said about them making the money. I believe they're making more money with the open border.
Yes, it's a financial deal.
I believe so they come over, the people come over here, they get that $10,000 a month, and they send money back to their people in Mexico. Then they got the cartels that's making billions of dollars, and that's going into the Mexican economy. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, but when Trump get back in office and we close that border off, I believe the cartels are going to try to have a little boldness. But we got the power, we got the muscle. and they don't want to mess with that.
That's and you were talking about child molestation. We're going to talk about Epstein Island then. I think as an American citizen, nothing pisses me off more to know that our FBI, CIA, whoever's in charge, the Justice Department, has not arrested one person other than the Maxwell and Epstein. All them people that bought the list came out the other day. Well, let's arrest some people. You know, we don't mind going and raiding a Republican for doing anything. But there's Republicans on that list just like Democrats. Washington, D.C. is a cesspool for corruption.
Yes.
And there is a swamp and there is a deep state, and we're stupid to think it. But here we've got people that were having sex with underage kids, buying them. They were flying on planes. There was a ranch in New Mexico. There was the Bahamas. I think he had a place in Colorado also. And we've done nothing about it. We've arrested no one. And that makes me madder than anything. The way we treat our veterans and the Epstein Island deal is two of the biggest problems I have, because we as American citizens are the stupidest people in the world because we take this shit over and over, and we don't do nothing. And I want them to do something. I want to see them arrest Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Instead of going after Trump for paying off his loan in New York, you understand? They need to be going after and that's a part of my platform this year. I'm protecting our children, protecting our borders, and protecting our freedom. We have to protect our children, right? Because when Trump got in, the first week that he got in office in 2016, he closed off that stuff about the transgenders in the bathroom. Now most transgenders are not gay. They're pedophiles. And many of them are what I call homophiles. They're attracted to same sex, with the little boys, a man who wants a little boy, like some of these priests. Okay. So they're homophiles. So what they do is that they do this bathroom bill because they want to give transgenders access to the kids, and they place our children in harm's way. And by the way, this dude that I'm going against, the incumbent here in my district, Greg Stanton, the only time he got on the floor in the House was to talk about transgender rights. We're talking about maybe 1% of the population here in Arizona, transgenders. And the only thing that he's worried about, and food prices are going up, and rent is going up, and crime is going up, and all this stuff. And the only thing that he wants to get on the floor and talk about is transgender rights, putting our children in harm's way. This kind of stuff that upsets me. And so we have to protect our children from unborn in the womb until they get out of the womb, until they become strong enough to be adults. And we need to protect them in college, too, because the colleges are nothing but a communist training ground. Okay, so we have to protect them, and I believe that we need to defund any college that teaches hate for this country. I
would with you 100% on that. There's nothing stupider than a fucking 18 to 24-year-old kid right now. I mean, it is. You can't find 2 out of 10 that got the shit together. Especially when you go to big cities. I mean, and the liberal colleges are a cesspool for that shit. That's right. The veterans. I want to talk about veterans. My youngest son's in the Army. And I had a lady who worked for me. She used to be my secretary. Her son retired from the Army, 20-something years in service, and has to when he retires from the Army, has to work his ass off to just barely make it. We need to fix retirement. And this is not me coming from, my son's going to serve his one term. He's getting out. He's not going to have retirement. But there's so many guys that have spent 20, 30, 40 years in the military, and they get out and they don't have any sort of, they don't have an above average retirement. And I think that's bullshit. And I think that needs to be fixed. We need to start taking care of our veterans. Now, veteran is such a loose word because there's a guy goes to boot camp and he gets washed out at boot camp, and his whole life he tries to live off the old veteran turn. You're not a veteran, and that sounds bad, but that's the truth. But we got to take care of these people that have served and taken care of us, and we don't do it.
Veterans for Trump is endorsing me, by the way, and Veterans for America First is also endorsing me. So I'm veteran friendly to the maximum. My grandfather fought in World War II, Chauncey Davison, and I'm definitely for law and order and for veterans. They need the best. They need to be treated the best. And the reason why they're being ill-treated now was mainly because of Obama's term. Obama was heavy-handed against veterans. As a matter of fact, those who was fighting in those Iran and Iraq wars and Afghanistan, he was telling them not to shoot them. He had stand down orders. This is crazy. These people are shooting against us, and our soldiers can't defend themselves. Yeah, they hate the country. They really hate the country. So our veterans, if you can bring these illegals over here, these military-aged men, and give them a plush lifestyle that's free with $10,000 a month, clothes on their back, medical care, housing, and all this kind of stuff, well, then you could do all this stuff for veterans too. And let me send this out to black women, because it's black women who are the ones that are lingering behind. Black men are starting to wake up, and they're coming out of the plantation mindset. But it's the black woman who still has that mindset that the government is Big Daddy, you know. And most of my attacks come from black women. They hate me. They can't stand me. Just the other day, I was out to lunch with some people, and we was having a discussion. And this black woman interrupted and started yelling. You know what I mean? Because she heard us talking about her body. It's my body. It's my right. Well, chopping a baby up in the womb has nothing to do with your body. You're going to get up from there, and you're probably going to go out and have sex within hours of getting rid of this baby. But the baby is gone. And we as adult men have to stand up and protect these children. You know, and we got to stand before God one day and give an account for that.
These are the same people too that my body, my choice, but they sure wanted your ass to have to go get a vaccine.
Exactly.
They didn't care about your rights then.
Yeah. Let me ask you this: how do we fix that? Because if you look at the fatherlessness in the black community is what 75-80%. I mean, it's at historic highs, and you know it's risen across the board. Fatherlessness among children is at an all-time high, but it's predominant, and it's a big problem in the black community. How do we switch the mindset? Because the government has incentivized single motherhood, because more children you have, more paycheck, more money you can have in the bank. So what do we do to fix any of this?
Well, we got to get the preachers, the black preachers, to start preaching the gospel. Y'all saw this stuff come out about T.D. Jakes being around, what's the name, P. Diddy, and going to his freak parties and all that kind of stuff. Well, a lot of these pastors, they've come to power and making millions of dollars, and they're preaching a lascivious gospel that you can do anything you want and just ask God to forgive you. Well, you know, Jesus' main mission was to come and take us away from sin and take sin away from us. And so they teach these loose messages, and they get all these people. So, and then they support the Democrat Party, like Margaret Sanger stated. She said, if we can get the black minister to help us out, then we can start helping to get rid of these weeds, or these black weeds, and stop them from repopulating. And that's what abortion really is all about. It's a genocidal plan against black and brown people. And if my Democrat opponent is going to do that and think that he's going to win against me like they did in Virginia on my body, my choice stuff, I'm going to expose him as a racist.
Yeah. What's your congregation been like since you have announced your run for Congress? Have you lost people in your congregation at church? Have you gained people? What's it been like for you?
Well, one of the benefits for me right now is that I'm a co-pastor. The senior pastor is, conservative as well. But some people, they there because they love my preaching and teaching, but they're not going to leave. But they don't. Some of them, you just can't convince them that the Democrats are really going against God and that it's an antichrist spirit, even though I show them the scripture. So let me, for example, okay, I asked them to show me an example of racism in the Bible, because the media and the Democrats have made this thing about Trump, this racism stuff, which is a lie, an absolute lie. I said, so show me a scripture in the Bible where racism is a sin and that a racist won't make it to heaven. They can't do it. I said, now, the policies that you're standing with, they are abomination, like man with man, woman with woman, killing the unborn, which is murder. You know, I said, that's the antichrist spirit. Think about the times in the Bible when they wanted to kill the babies. That was a time of when Moses was coming, and that was a time when Jesus was coming, and that was the antichrist spirit. So, and they can't do it. But yet and still, they still support the Democrat. Well, they say, I don't believe in homosexuality. I said, well, then why are you putting your signature and your vote with the people who are telling you to your face and to the nation that they agree with it? Your signature is like you shooting the bullet. Your signature is like you pulling the baby out of the womb and ripping it apart.
Yeah.
You're in agreement with that. And I believe that they're going to stand before God and have to give an answer for that.
You know, I've never thought about that. when they were trying to go after the babies, it was Moses and Jesus in the Bible. Never put those two.
Yes.
Never put that concept together.
Amen.
Wow.
And these were the people that were going to make a difference in the world. And Satan somehow knew that. Now, when you see the title demon, the term demon means intelligence. And when you look up the definition of it, it means intelligence. And these fallen spirits are intelligent, and they're operating in the Democrat Party. And I give them credit that they have yielded themselves over to the spirit so strong that they can lie and connive and convince people, and convince people to their own demise, to their own hurt. And some of these people, they can't pay their rent. They can't, get a job. They can't get a used car in this economy, but they're still mad about something Trump tweeted.
Yeah. Right.
Trump gave us a great economy. You know what I mean? Every American had a harvest under Trump, but they're upset about something he tweeted. And so, I just don't even argue with the people anymore. I'm just trying to run and get in Congress to bring a strong conservative platform there. And I'm not gonna vote for no Ukraine. I'm not gonna send. And I'm very much for Israel to defend themselves. But I believe that's another war that America is getting involved in. And yes, we support Israel. I'm a pro-Israel guy. But right now, I'm more pro-American than we need to take care of home first. Because if we don't stop this bleeding, we're going to die. And they're going to go on. Their war will be over soon. But America is going to bleed to death. And we have to stop.
Israel can wipe out its enemies if it wants to. They don't need us. They don't. I support Israel, but I'm with you on that. I'm tired of us sending our money over there to fight these proxy wars so our politicians' friends that are selling missiles can get rich, because that's what we do. And the deep state Republicans like what's Mitch McConnell and all them, they're all just as crooked as the Democrats are, and they use people up. And I hope the smart people in Kentucky get rid of his old turtle-headed ass, because he's bad news. They need to get rid of him too. We need to get rid of most all politicians. There's a fund in Congress, and it's a sexual assault fund that they've used over the years. Somehow it's never come out. But congressmen have taken advantage of their interns, their assistants, their pages, whatever it is. And the American taxpayer has paid off all these funds over the years. It's never talked about. I don't understand why that gets a free pass. Journalism in our country is an all-time low. You cannot find an honest, good journal. And I don't know that there's bad journalism as much as the people that own all the outlets for journalism are owned by 3 or 4 companies. And they're all controlled by the Democratic Party or the deep state.
And this is why the American people are turning to platforms like yours.
Right.
Where you guys, they can get the truth. But they're trying to suppress these. So in my Internet Bill of Rights, like PayPal, these are pay services. Even banks are kicking conservatives off. When I first started running for Congress, they was Wells Fargo wouldn't open an account for me because I was using WinRed. You see, and they know that WinRed is a Republican platform. So when you're trying to use these platforms, that's included in the Internet Bill of Rights. They're not supposed to. Even PayPal said we can take $25,000 out of your account for no reason at all. That's what they're saying. And so, but all of these are just attacks on conservatives. But going back to the point of them having a slush fund to pay off their victims. Do you know this church? Many churches, blacks and whites, Catholic churches, and all that stuff. All of them have to use their money doing the same thing.
Yeah.
They're blowing the people's money to cover up their sexual affairs. I'm talking about 2 million at a time, 3 million, 4 million. And this is why many black churches, they do a building fund for 20 and 30 years, because the pastor done had a baby out of wedlock with out of adultery with one of the female constituents.
See, that's private money.
See me, if I get word that the spiritual leader that I'm under has had an affair outside of his marriage, me forgiving him is not up to me. His forgiveness is between him and God. But I'm going to be a wise person I'm going to be a good steward of my time and my ears and go to a pastor who's not having an affair. Leave forgiveness up to him and his wife and him and God. Okay. But this is what they do to the black church. And I say to some of these, they say, well, President Trump had so many wives. I say, well, your pastor had babies out of wedlock and he's married. You're still there.
Yeah.
So don't tell me that you're concerned about morality when your spiritual leader is a dog.
Yeah,
But
$17 million. I just looked it up. $17 million is, since its creation in the 90s, is what the American taxpayer has paid to make these allegations go away.
But we hold a higher regard for the NFL, because if you're an NFL owner and you do that, they're going to make you sell your team. If you are the CEO of McDonald's, they're going to fire you. They may give you $50 million to leave, or Disney. But for some reason, if it's our government and our money, it's all acceptable. And that's wrong.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm glad you made me aware of that, because that'll be something that I would like to tackle in Congress. I would like to deal with that.
Yeah, but nobody talks about it, because once they get in that good old boy group up there, they all cover for each other. Just like Elizabeth Warren comes out and says, we've got to do something to lower tuition. The same time, she cashes a check for $500,000 a year from Harvard to teach one class once a week. Well, if she was really worried about lowering the tuition rates at colleges, she would spend her time and say, hey, I'll tell you what, I'm teaching one day a week. Give me $100,000 a year, which is still overpaid for her. But she's making $500,000 a year. They don't.
Yeah, Pocahontas.
The biggest fraud.
Yeah, Pocahontas doesn't have anything to teach. And that's just a money laundering thing, because I guarantee you she's using her position to get money to the school, and then she get it back. That's exactly what they're doing with Ukraine. They're laundering the money. They're sending billions over there, and all of them are getting paid. I think Nancy Pelosi, her net worth is something like about $200 million.
Yeah.
$200 million. And I would like to investigate and see how many Republicans and Democrats invested in the vaccine.
Yeah. I can tell you this much. I make as much on paper as a congressman does a year, but I cannot seem to accumulate $200 million worth of wealth in 20 years. I wish I could figure out how to do that. But another thing that I wanted to touch on, and I just lost my train of thought on this shit. I can't remember what the hell it was. God dang it.
But let me go back to
I know what it was real quick before I forget again. Nikki Haley's running for president against Trump. She has absolutely no chance in the world. It's the biggest waste of money. If you're giving money to her or DeSantis, you're just pissing your money out the window. But she all of a sudden is a woman of color. Does that not piss you off as a black person when people try to jump on that train?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it makes me very angry, because that woman right there is nothing but another Pocahontas who try to take advantage of race and the struggle of some people. And black people really don't need to struggle. They struggle because the Democrats tell them they need to struggle and that nobody likes you, that you can't get it. That's what CRT was telling these kids. Because you're black and because that white dude over there is white, he's going to oppress you and you're not going to be able to do anything. The only thing you can do is go out there and murder and kill and steal and all that kind of stuff. But that Nikki Haley is a sneaky, low down piece of trash. And I knew that when she was I think she was a Secretary of State for President Donald Trump.
Ambassador.
But she's
the UN ambassador.
Yeah, she's a snake in the grass. Oh, UN ambassador. That's right.
She was
and she tried to talk about her foreign experience and her foreign policies. Yeah, but now what is she, native? I think she's part native.
I don't know. I'm fucking 33% Italian, so I guess I'm a person of color too. I don't know. I don't get that shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So now she never talked about her race before. But now that she wants people's vote, now all of a sudden she's a person of color. And just like the stuff, you'll notice this, that the Democrats, they never get anybody as dark as me. And I'm both of my parents are foundational Americans. You know, okay, we come through America. We've been here. We haven't come from any other culture, any other nation. But when Democrats select a black person, they have to have a disloyalty or a dual loyalty. Susan Rice, her parents are from Jamaica. Colin Powell, Jamaica. Obama, okay, Africa. So all of these people that they raise up to the black community have to have like this mulatto light skin kind of thing, because they know that black people like the house niggas. You know what I mean? They like the house niggas, but they ain't gonna get somebody as dark as me. I'm just a field nigga. Understand? So. But this is what they do. They get somebody with dual loyalty, somebody who really don't love America with all their heart. And all of a sudden they get in there and do bad policies and bad things against black people. And I ask black people, tell me one thing that Obama did for black people. One thing. Well, he can't do that. He's the president. I said, well, he did it for the LGBT. He gave them all kinds of rights with executive orders. Now, you mean to tell me? And one black lady said to me, "Hold on to your seats here, keep your hats on, because it's about to be a windstorm here." But she said, "Well, he gave us an Obama phone." I said, "Oh God, I'm done. I'm done with the conversation." You see, because I know you're retarded.
So you're telling me some brother like Bernie Mac couldn't run because he was too dark?
Yeah, that's right. He's too dark. That's doggone right. That's exactly what I'm telling you.
He was a funny son bitch, though.
And he's too American.
Yeah.
He's too American.
Yeah.
You understand?
Yeah. What's the Kamala? What a joke! Absolute joke. Her great grandfather was a slave trader. I mean, he was. But they completely forget about that stuff.
Yeah, well, see now, I think black people now really, because we was trying to warn everybody when she was in San Francisco as the attorney general, she was locking black people up.
She put more black people behind bars than anybody.
She was happy about it. She laughed about it.
Yeah.
She put black women in jail because of their children. If their children didn't go to class and go to school and go into that doctrinal system where they know they use the public school to indoctrinate black people and to make them dumber, well, then she arrested the parents, and these were black people.
And she
and now
giggled
America
about
can
it.
see just how dingy and that she got her come up on her knees and on her back.
She did. That's damn right. What do you think about Joy Reid's comments the other day on MSNBC about the Iowa caucus? Because it was just white Christians there, and that's all. I get sick and tired of the media using Christianity bad. I don't care about the white. I don't care about the race at all. I don't give two craps about race. The attacks on Christianity is a huge problem in our country with the media, and we just accept it.
Right.
I bet if you did a poll and did a percentage, the people over 50 years of age that are Christians is a whole lot higher than kids under 24.
Joy Reid is a bald-headed, dumb, ugly, American hating clown.
She is,
and she hates Christians, and she's nothing but a gatekeeper for the Democrats.
Yes.
And when you see a black person hating on other black people because they have a different political platform, that's when you know it's something wrong. But I don't like her because she hates everybody who's a Republican. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they're good people or bad people. She hates them, and she's being paid very well, very handsomely to be a deceiver and a hater of black people. And you might look at her and say, "Oh, ain't nobody believing this stuff. This stuff is laughable." But a lot of people believe it. A lot of people listen to that stuff, and that's some of their talking points. But Christianity is under attack in this country in a heavy way. And we should pray for people not only in this country, but around the world. In Africa, many black people are being killed, and Christians are being killed by Muslims.
Yes, big time under attack.
And then Rachel Maddow, when Trump won the Iowa caucus, she came on and said, "We will not be showing, his speech or whatever."
Yeah, his speech,
because we're not gonna play his speech live. We're gonna dissect it and blah 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 blah. That's censorship.
Right.
I mean, that's all it is.
That's censorship. Yeah, and it's an attack on freedom of speech. Yeah. So did y'all hear that they're already trying to plan to a coup against President Donald Trump? That they don't want the government, the military, to be under his helm. They don't want him to have power over the military. So they're starting already to try to find ways to not have the government, the military, to be subject to his voice and to his authority.
Yeah.
See, because what they know is if President Donald Trump gets into office and he has somebody like me that's voting with him and supporting him in Congress, and we get more people in Congress and in the Senate, and we get an AG, they are going to jail. And all this Jeffrey Epstein stuff is going to be exposed. All of these deeds that they've done, but don't count on the media to do it. Platforms like yours are going to have to get out here and put the truth out there. And I'll be glad once in Congress to come onto your show and reveal everything that's happening in there. They don't intimidate me. Like I said before we got on live, I just got through working out. When I was at ASU going to Arizona State, I still hold a bench press record there for 465 pounds. I was 19 years old. And so one of these Antifa people attacked me because I voted for something. Well, then y'all know I'm gonna make the news because if they hit me, it's gonna be hell to pay. Okay. And I'm not going to be the one on TV holding my teeth in my hand, talking about, look what they did to me. It's going to be them holding their teeth.
Have you taken added security measures now that you had the viral video, and I'm sure your inbox was flooded with nasty messages and some severe threats? Have you are you ratcheting up your security as we get a little bit closer to this run?
Yeah, everybody around me is, most of the people that's around me, you see me, if you see somebody close to me, know that they got it. When I say you know that they got it, know that they got that Second Amendment power, and they watch it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I always tell my guys, hit the gym. It's mandatory. Put you at least an hour of training in there. You know what I mean? I do a little boxing training and stuff too. So if they attack me, I want them to.
Yeah, you're not the guy that's going to be scared of a scrap.
No.
I got a question for you. As a black man that has a black church in a black community, what are the what's the favorability of people actually liking Reverend Al Sharpton? Or do they think he's a fraud? Because I think he's a damn fraud and a pimp, and he ought to be in prison, personally.
No, look, brother, you don't even have to think. That dude, he looked like to me, he looked like a skinny lollipop now. Wait, yeah. Okay. Yeah, he looked like a lollipop that got real sticky and fell on some hair in the barbershop. He looks a mess. Yeah, but listen, people don't listen to Al Sharpton like that. People don't listen to, so no, his platform is really, really no good unless he's on MSNBC talking, so I don't hear any talk from him.
It's just amazing. A guy like,
but because he's black, he has some influence.
That's just crazy.
But you're starting to see people like Charlemagne the Goof. I don't call him Charlemagne the God. I don't call no man a God. Charlemagne the Goof, the one who said that Joe Biden told him, you're not black if you don't vote for me. Well, he's got some regrets. He says that he regrets voting for Kamala Harris. And I put it on my social media and said, this is what happens when you vote for someone based on skin color. Okay? You should be old enough and mature enough to vote based on policy. Yeah. I'm not a devout Republican. Right. My devotion really goes to God, but I love the platform, the Republican platform. We believe in free enterprise. We believe in law and order. We believe in traditional family. We're pro-life. We believe that every American should have the freedom to go out and live your own life without government intervening in your life. Tell the government have a few specific things. That is to make sure that we're safe, and that is to make sure that we're protected, and make sure the economy goes. That's it. Make sure everybody still have their freedoms. But when the Democrats get in, they want to know what type of sex you're having. They want to know what kind of drugs you're using. They want to inoculate you with something. They just involved with too much. And if we can get them out of that, we would have less government and less spending every year.
I want more freedoms. I want my kids to have opportunities, which my kids are grown and they've all have opportunities. I want my grandkids to live in a country where they're safe and can go to school and learn. And I want people to be able to talk about God without being shut down. And that's all I want. If you want to watch porn or you want to watch sex stuff on TV, I don't care what you do. I don't. But don't force the shit down my throat. I don't want to go. We don't go to Target no more, and we haven't been to Target in a year and a half, and I don't think I'll ever go. My wife made that stand, and I support her 100%, and I'm with her on that. But we ought to have the right to not go to places, but them other people ought to have the right to go to the places they want to too, but don't tell me what I can and can't do. And that's what the Democrats want to do. They want to tell me what I can and can't do, but they always want to act like they're the party of inclusion, and they're not. It's all about them, and that has really, really gotten old. January 6th is the most perpetrated fake shit that ever happened. The federal government has proven now the FBI was in on the January 6th deal. That guy led those people in. We have locked people up that weren't even there. I have a client of mine that has a brother that went to January 6th, but he wasn't inside. He never even went inside. He was just outside. They came to him and threatened to take his guns away and wanted in his safe to take his guns. Had nothing to do with anything. Our country was built on law and order and the right to a fair and speedy trial, unless it's January 6th.
Right. Unless it's January 6th. See, I want to get in there, and I want to the first week in Congress, I want to file a lawsuit against the jail that's housing
Yes.
them. I want to file a lawsuit against it because they're going against their Fourth
Yeah.
Amendment.
Where's Ben Johnson at?
And I think it's the Sixth Amendment.
Where's Ben Johnson
Right.
right now? Speaker of the House. Is it Ben or Mike Johnson? I can't remember his name. Is it Mike? It's Mike Johnson, I think.
I think it's Mike.
Mike Johnson.
Yeah, Mike.
Has not done well. That's the first thing I would do is I want these people to get a fair trial, and I want them to be given bail and let them go home until their trial and get a fair process. And we haven't done that. But not one Republican, Ted Cruz, the guy from Kentucky, Rand Paul, none of those people have come out and done anything to get these people out of jail.
Right. Yeah, I'm really sickened by that. I mean, these people are being forgotten and really left for dead and rot in jail for no reason. You know what I mean? They're not, many of them are not even charged with anything.
No.
And so, yeah, I'm wondering what's wrong with that.
But we're letting terrorists out of our jail in Guantanamo and trading them for a cross-dressing army guy.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really bad, man.
Let me ask you about this, because we're starting to see a trend of digital currency and cryptocurrency. And we're moving away from the traditional dollar. And, you know, I saw a video not too long ago, a lady, I'm hoping this was fake, but she implanted the chip into her. And that's how she paid for her groceries. She scanned her chip and all the groceries were paid for. How dumb do we have to be for American people to be like, yeah, put a chip in me and that's how I'll pay for everything?
People are lazy and they want convenience, but they don't realize that this convenience is coming at a cost, and that cost is coming at the cost of freedom.
Yeah.
That's why the platforms that I have, when you look at my website and you watch my Internet Bill of Rights video, I'm really concerned about freedom. And I'm like the brother that was saying, I love freedom of speech. I love sharing ideas. I love being able to preach the gospel. I love having an opinion, and I love hearing an opinion. But what's happening with the Democrats, unless you agree with their opinion, well, then you have no place in society. You should lose your job because you're uncaring, you're racist, you're a supremacist, and all of this. Everything that they project onto you. They're the racists, and that's why they hated my video, because my video showed that they're hateful Democrats and Klan hoods.
Right. Yeah, but that chip stuff is really coming. And here's another bill that I want to introduce in Congress. I want to do an anti-George Soros, anti-Bill Gates, and anti-Zuckerberg bill, because Bill Gates is buying up farmland, and with that farmland, he is raising crops with the vaccine in it. He's also vaccinating our animals. So I want to ban any vaccine and anything that food or any food products from any three of those guys from being able to hit the American market, or any foundation, open society, or anything, any nonprofit that they finance. It will have no food or anything to do with the American people.
Did you see the?
Now that's freedom.
Did you see the video, or I don't know if it's video. There's a story going around. I do not know how true this is. I've not followed up on it. We're going to have a doctor on here next week that's a big anti-vaxxer, and we're going to talk about this with him. But we're going to touch base on this now. There's a video going around about a couple maybe in Arizona, that the wife had the mRNA vaccine, and she got the vaccine, and they did a DNA test on their baby, and their baby has got Chinese DNA in it now. Neither one of them have ever had Chinese blood in them. They said that they used this mRNA vaccine. They used baby parts from China in it to make these parts, and now it's showing up in their DNA. I don't know if this is a complete tinfoil hat bullshit. I just read about it. I'm going to talk to this doctor next week when we have him on. But I've read 2 different articles about it in the last week, and they said that it can change the DNA structure because of this injection.
Yeah.
Made me start thinking, if that's part of the deal, and Bill Gates and George Soros and them, maybe they're wanting to completely transform the DNA of everybody in the world, because they do have a God complex that think they're smarter than everybody. Are you looking that up, Andy?
Well, yeah. That is crazy, man. So yeah, so here's the deal, right? I'm a Bible student, you know what I mean? I have a degree and I'm working on a master's degree in divinity. This is exactly Satan's plan from Genesis chapter 6. From Genesis chapter 6, because God told Eve that your seed, now woman doesn't have seed, but he said that your seed is going to crush Satan's head, right? So that means that she would have a miraculous birth. So in Genesis chapter 6, when the sons of God, the Benoah Elohim, saw the daughters of men that they were fair, they went into them. So their whole plan was to foil what God said to Eve in Genesis 3, to stop and foil the seed before she could have this miraculous son. So the angels came and had sex with the women and the offspring were these giants and freaks and all types of chimeras and all that kind of stuff. And this is why God killed the animals and killed everybody except for Noah and his family. It was a DNA damaging plan. And I believe that plan is being renewed by these fallen angels that are now entered the Democrats. I put a video out there where I was on Alex Jones, right? I was on Alex Jones and I was talking about how that Satan and the angels saw God create the stars, the planets, and all this beautiful stuff. They saw the power of Elohim. And I said, and they rebelled against God. And that rebellion has now entered the hearts of the Democrats. And that 30-second right there, they took it off. I didn't say anything else. They took that off.
Yeah, they hate Alex Jones.
So yeah, a lot of people who are taking these vaccines, they're getting DNA shifted. And the problem with that, and I'm concerned spiritually as a pastor, I'm just doing research on this, that the angel in the book of Revelation said that woe unto them that receive the mark of the beast, for they will have no place in the kingdom. And so when Noah was saved, he was saved because he still had pure human DNA. And Jesus Christ became a human so that he could redeem humanity and not some other species or race. And if you're getting these shots and there's changing your DNA from being a human to being a superhuman or subhuman, well, then are you redeemable? That's a great theological question.
What's it saying on there? Did you find anything on it?
I didn't do too much digging. That's an interesting way of looking at it right there. Are you redeemable when you alter your DNA? Would that go because for all vaccines though?
Well, this mRNA is the thing that changes your DNA. It shifts your DNA. So, but what does it shift it to? Is the question.
They said it added Chinese. They had traces of China in this baby. The lady was the lady got the injection. She got pregnant, had a baby. This family did. Why they did a DNA test on their whole idea, I don't know if it was one of those Maury Povich type deals or why they did a DNA. But it come back that they had Chinese. The baby had Chinese structure in the DNA. Neither one of them have any Chinese descendants or anything. That's it. And they said that she had this mRNA, and they think they used aborted baby fetuses to come up with this.
Oh, of course. They don't hide that. That's known. They use a lady. They use the fetus of a child, a boy, who was aborted, and they use also the DNA of a woman who had cancer. I think her name is something like Roletta. She was a black woman who had a very serious case of cancer, and they still use her DNA to go into that. Why?
Yeah.
You know, I told people we're not cannibals and we shouldn't take that into our temple. Our temple belongs to God. And I had to write so many letters for people to save their jobs when it came to the airline, military, to the hospitals. I was writing letters left and right, and people was coming to me because their pastors would not give them a letter of religious exemption.
Why wouldn't they do that for them?
Money.
I don't know. They had certain reasons, and I'll say, well, why can't you go to your pastor? My pastor won't do it for me.
He's probably getting a check.
a lot of these pastors are liberals. Now, if you are a part of a church and you never see your pastor deal with things that are political and they are changing and hurting and harming children, they're hurting the economy, they're bringing up crime, well, then they don't care. They try to bury themselves in a Bible story like David and Goliath, and they'll never bring it to the current time because their job is to lure you to sleep.
Yeah.
lure you to sleep, is make and act like all the stuff that's happening around us isn't taking place. And so I got tired of fighting against the church and trying to get the church to get out here and go to battle. So finally, I ended up saying, I'm going to run for Congress. And I think that the platforms and things that I'm concerned about are nationwide and also worldwide.
The most influential man in a black community, and this is coming from a white guy who didn't live in a black community, but I went to school with a lot of black guys and friends, lots of them, is either the football coach or their pastor. Those are the two most influential people in a black community. Now, the football coach is influential to the young man, but the parents like him and stuff. But a black pastor can get more done than anybody in the community because those people trust and faith in him. Well, when these guys are selling themselves out, it's hurting themselves. If they would do and the black pastor has to see the community and say, hey, we got some problems. We got way too many single moms out here having babies by multiple guys. We got too many baby daddies. Yeah. We've got too many people being locked up. We got too many people slinging drugs. We got to start working and educating and get work ethic and get these guys to become better parents than what they had, how they were raised. And I don't know what the answer to that is.
See, we have superstar pastors like Joel Osteen going to weddings for same-sex couples. Ridiculous. You have people like T.D. Jakes going out to Freaknik parties with P. Diddy. And he says, well, I'm his mentor, and he's a mentor to Usher. Well, what are you mentoring? What are they learning? Because they're writing songs that are freaking and all kinds of stuff and having sex. What are they learning from you, Minister T.D. Jakes? They're certainly not learning morality. And I mean, if I was mentoring somebody and they haven't changed and they still going out and having freak parties and all that stuff, well, then I would disassociate myself from them. And I love them, and all I could do is pray for them. But I can't be buddies with them. You know, people always say, well, Jerone, you're wrong because Jesus, he had wine, people that was drunk and they was all kinds. I said, those people came to Jesus to get healed. They came to get changed. The people that were sick, they came to get healed. People who had palsy and had issues in their body, the wine bibbers and alcoholics, they wanted to be free. And they walked away different from the way they came to him. So if y'all just hanging out with the pastor, and he's at the nightclub with you and he's, making it rain on the whores at the club, doesn't seem to be like a real pastor to me.
Not at all. Not at all. We had this conversation with my pastor just a couple of weeks ago. It was on the podcast, and we talked about this because I am big time against wealthy preachers on TV that are flying around in $100 million jets. I have an issue with it. I think they could take that money and do something better with it. I don't have a problem with someone driving a nice car and living a good life, but you don't need to live in a $50 million mansion if you're doing Jesus's work. I don't think,
That's right. I totally agree with you. The master himself, he had to live with one of his disciples, because people wasn't giving him money.
Right.
Yeah.
what I mean? And I'm not saying that the preacher should be poor, but that right there is really, God wants me to be rich. God wants me to have this new wife. He wanted me to divorce my old wife and to get this new younger model. These are and the congregations out there. Amen, Pastor. Amen.
There's one guy, Jesse Duplantis, or however you pronounce his last name.
Yeah. We pulled up guy. You got to do all the jokes.
Yeah, we pulled up a video of him, and he's bragging about, I got the biggest mansion in Louisiana, and my first house cost $89,000, and this watch cost more than that, and that's not a good look.
No, you could do a lot of good for a lot of people that are good people that need help. The worst thing in the world to me, or one of the things that hurts me the most, is when I see a young couple that's struggling to be able to buy groceries for their kids. Mom and dad both work. They got 2 or 3 kids. They try their best. They're raising their kids the right way. And it's tough right now, and that hurts my soul. And then you see a guy on TV that's preaching and wearing a $90,000 watch. Well, buy you a $15,000 Rolex and then help that people out a little bit. They're trying to help themselves. I don't like freeloaders, but there's a lot of good people in our country that work hard, that struggle. Those are the people I feel bad for, because they need a hand. They need a helping hand. They don't need a handout. They need a helping hand, someone to help them.
Yeah, you just have to be a type of person who cares.
Yes.
But a lot of times people are looking to get themselves in position. They don't care about people, and they just want to get in position to eat on the people. This is why I'm running for Congress, because I want to be the type of representative that I have yearned for. I have longed to have somebody go in and fight for the things that I'm concerned about. I'm concerned about freedom. I'm concerned about the economy. I'm concerned about all of this government spending. I'm concerned about sending money to Ukraine. Why? You understand? They haven't even given us an accountability for this stuff. I'm concerned about the open border. I'm concerned about the drugs that China is sending over here. So we have to be that type of people who cares. And these preachers that are doing this stuff is just, I don't see why people even follow them at all. But that's what happens when you have sheeple instead of people who are reading the Bible for themselves and studying for themselves.
Yeah. You know, you mentioned Gates buying up all the land. Another big problem that America is seeing is foreign countries that are buying up American farmland right now. I mean, it's a major problem.
Man. Great
and
point.
I don't understand how
Arkansas made it illegal. She signed a.
She did.
Sarah Huckabee is going to be she's going to be the first female president probably in about 12 years. I really think.
I love Sarah. She's
she
great.
is a sharp lady.
Strong.
She signed a bill that
She signed a bill where if you're in China, they're taking the land away from the Chinese. They're not letting them do it. Did you see what Trump said to her in joke and they tried to spin it into something bad? I guess. What was the dude's the little fishmonger in North Korea? Kim Jong-il or whatever his name is. Yeah. He was kind of he was kind of flirtatious with her and stuff. And Trump said, "Well, Sarah, you might have to take one for the team on this one." You know, just in joke and being funny. And everybody thought it was funny. Well, the media's trying to spin it that he was doing something to degrade her or something. She wasn't degraded by it. It was a damn joke.
No, it was a joke. But that's what I'm saying. When the Democrats never do anything wrong. Joe Biden sniffing little kids' hair and little girls leaning away from him, and he's still chasing them down. That's okay because he's just an old, loving, caring man. Him talking about the kids rubbing his hairs in the pool and rubbing his legs down, that's fine. But Trump jokingly says something about Sarah Huckabee. It's crazy.
Well, and wasn't it
insane.
Biden's daughter that had the journal,
the diary,
and they're trying to
they said that they took a shower together.
And they're doing it's kind of like the Hunter Biden laptop. They're doing everything that they can to not report on that. But I guarantee you, if Ivanka Trump's daughter, if she had a journal or a diary like that, it'd be everywhere. Yeah, it'd be blasted.
It'll be held to pay
all over the place.
What?
Yeah.
What are your
well, you know, Anthony Weiner's laptop probably has more damaging stuff on it than Hunter
Yes,
Biden.
And it's not
Anthony Weiner's laptop. It's got some stuff on there about Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, and the FBI is going to hold that pat, and not do nothing else about it. They'll never do nothing about that.
Yeah, I think it's got some children's stuff on there.
I'm sure it does.
You know, a lot of people confide in me, and I get a lot of information. I've seen some things that I can't even mention. But I'm telling you, man, we're dealing with some evil people.
Yes, we are. God dang, I'm getting old. And I had another damn.
That was one of the things, you know, after the Hamas. That was in October, wasn't it? When they invaded that, or whenever they launched that terror attack against the music festival, wasn't it in October? Yes. I think. You know, I had read things from people that were in Congress. They watched the video montage, and I wouldn't be able to sit through that.
I know what I was going to say. We're talking about the kids, the Democrats and the Republicans both, because the Republicans aren't innocent on this by any means at all. They want to talk all the time about rights for kids, and we want to talk about women's rights. But these same people, especially the Democratic Party, are okay with these men competing against in women's sports. Well, are you for women or are you for against transgender? Because a transgender is just a confused dude that's got a freaking penis is all they are. And but we're letting them compete against women's sports. It's
going to happen in the Olympics in boxing.
It's stupid as hell. That is the stupidest crap that we've done. Or it just adds to the list of stupidity that we, the American people and society as general, are accepting. You know, if you're not good at something, you're just going to become a woman. You're a hell of a football player. You're not a Hall of Fame NFL guy, but you were one of the 1%ers that got to play in the NFL that actually made it. Could you imagine if they had a women's league? Do you think you could have dominated in that league?
Oh, that would have been easy. Backwards, going backwards. Really, it's an attack on women.
Yes.
It's an attack on women.
But they're
and every woman, when they put these people on the magazine and call them the woman of the year, every woman in society in America should have stood up and said, you know what? We don't agree with this. File lawsuits, do what you can, get your pussy cat hat out there and go in front of the White House and tell them, stop the attacks on women. Stop it. Why is it so necessary?
Yeah, I don't.
Why do you want a bathroom for transgenders? Build one. Make a separate bathroom. Instead of having them compete against women, start a transgender men's league.
Right.
But you shouldn't put them in there to compete against women. They're doing the same thing with the prison system. They're putting these men in the women's facility and they're raping the women.
Yeah.
They're impregnating the women.
Doesn't somebody have a baby coming that identified as a woman and had sex with an inmate and now they're having a baby?
Yes.
I'm old.
There's several cases like that.
I'm old fashioned. I like my women to have a vagina. That's just the way I am. I guess I me too. I just don't understand all that shit. But they just get by with it all the time. Like you take, I don't even know the kid's name. We use Arizona State's basketball. We could take their third string small forward, and he could go play in the WNBA, and he would average 80 points a game. Different athlete. It's just what it is. But they just don't get it. If you can't make it as if you can't make it as a man, you think you want to become a woman in sports. They don't do that shit in the NFL because they can't do that.
Their bodies can't take it. They can't take a hit from me. I'm coming at you full speed and I hit you full speed in the chest with my helmet. You're not gonna the likelihood is not gonna be too good. And I say the same thing with the MMA fighters and the boxers. They're gonna get their skulls crushed. One girl did get her skull crushed in the MMA match against one of those men. It's not right.
Nope.
But what the Democrats are trying to do is normalize this inversion of sexuality, this gender bending thing. They're just trying to normalize it, put it in as many sports and as many activities and just normalize it so people don't even talk about it anymore. They just embrace it and accept it because this is a depopulation plan. A man with a man is a depopulation plan. A woman with a woman is a depopulation plan. When you cut the children's genitals off when they're in the 6th grade and 5th grade, that's a depopulation plan. And that's all it is. They hate humanity.
Well, and isn't it in California where they can come after you as a parent if you deny your kids ability to transition?
Yes. That's right. You can go to jail for not allowing your child. But they're saying too that they don't even have to tell you as a parent.
Yeah.
When your child go to school one day and don't understand what they're saying about sexuality and they just shake their head yes, well then it's off to the hospital for the surgery.
Have you seen Dave Chappelle's bit, or it's Cat Williams did a bit on Dwayne Wade's son? Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union have this son that they started transitioning when he was 3 years old.
Yeah, I saw.
And he's like, listen, this sucker's going to have size 15 feet, and going to be 6'7", and you think he's going to get a date to prom date? Hell no. It's a boy. He is a man, not a woman.
Yeah.
Quit trying to change. All this shit started with Big Mike, though. Yeah, it did.
Obama came out and he started attacking traditional marriage.
Yep.
Magic Johnson has a son who's 6'6", wearing heels and dressed like a woman. And he goes to a popular church in LA and that church embraces it. They allow it. Magic Johnson gets up there and talk about he loves his son and he's happy that he's gay. And I'm like, man, wow. I know you did some freaky stuff, Magic Johnson, but man, you shouldn't be out here pushing for this stuff, dude.
I know he loves his son. I understand that part. He loves his son. I got that. Just like Megan Rapinoe's parents love her. That's their kid. But that doesn't mean you appreciate it or going to go push the shit. And his son is a weird cat for sure.
Right.
I want to switch gears just real quick before we start wrapping up here. What do you think of college athletes getting paid? We mentioned it earlier. What are your thoughts on it? As a former player, as a former NFL player, how do you feel?
I have mixed feelings with it. Okay, I'm happy that they're getting paid, but I didn't get any money. Right. No, I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. But my concern is that if I'm not a superstar on the team, I'm not getting the money. Okay, I don't think the money is not evenly dispersed. That's my only concern. But if you're the star quarterback for a team, like Deion Sanders' son, he pulled in $4.5 million, last season, and he's out there on the field, pulling his thing down and showing his watch,
right,
showing off his materialism and how prosperous he is, and riding a Bentley. It's wonderful that these young people are getting paid, but I'm just concerned about the kid who's not the superstar. What about the third string quarterback? He's not going to sell as many jerseys as you. So there should be something like a league fund, like a certain percentage go into a fund where it can be dispersed to the other, not non-superstars that are getting it. But I don't know.
Yeah.
But I love the fact that they're getting paid.
I think SMU, what is it, 36 grand a year for everybody on the football team?
Every football player and every basketball player, girls or boys, all get $36,000 a year. And I'm against the whole thing. I've been against it the whole time. I think if you go to college and you play sports, you get free food, you get free room, and you got to
go ahead with
you got to step up on everybody else. But if we're going to pay kids, I like your idea. I think every kid ought to get paid the same amount of money, and it ought to be and it doesn't matter if you're Caleb Williams at USC or JoJo Smith at USC who never gets to play if he just holds the field goal. Pay them the same amount of money because those kids are there's a lot of them that struggle. I've had a lot of friends of mine that played Division I football that didn't have any money at all. They were poor kids. They just barely got by. They got by on wearing Texas Tech sweatshirts and hoodies where they went to school as free as the clothes they had, and they got a little bit of money for their dorm room every year, and that's what they had to live on. Yeah. So pay them all $36,000 a year, but a kid shouldn't be making $300,000 or $400,000 to play college football and making more money than the professor does that's teaching there.
But hold on, you said you had to work in college, and you were a college athlete, so obviously they're not meeting your needs enough.
No, they're not. After the season is over, the table during the season you can go in and you can get a meal. Before practice and after practice. But when the season is over, you're on your own. Mm-hmm. It's up to your parents, and if your parents don't have any money, you're struggling on peanut butter and crackers.
Right.
But $36,000
trying to work.
But $3,000 a month for every college student. What SMU's paying, a kid can afford to eat, live, have an apartment. Well, that's
you just said that it was a privilege to play on the football team because you're getting these X, Y, and Z taken care of, and you got a leg up in life, which I don't necessarily agree with. But
I'm saying if we're going to pay them, though, let's pay them a salary, but that's not extreme. What do they got to look forward to working? Most of those kids playing college football that are getting big check. Let's say Shedeur Sanders was not Deion's son, and he was Michael Penix. Comes from a normal family. Michael Penix probably made $1 million a year playing football at Washington last year. Michael Penix probably will go to the NFL, but let's say he doesn't. Let's say he blows out ACL and he's done. He'll never make $1 million a year again, ever. I mean, your kid's going to peak out at 20 years old on what he made in college.
Well, I mean, if he can make enough money while he's in college to set himself up for later on in life, then good for him.
How many of them kids driving Lamborghinis are setting themselves up for life?
Maybe it's leased, Jeff. I don't know.
Well, what I think it came in, the television revenue. They're making hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yes.
Then the jersey sales, the merch sales are going to, and they're making all this money, which they probably weren't making. The colleges weren't raking in the money like that in my time, but they're pulling in crazy money right now.
But I don't,
with all of the merch and stuff too. So
I don't think that's going to the players.
That's how. Yeah, but that's how they ended up doing that. Imagine Tim Tebow, what he would have made.
Yeah, right.
At Florida.
But I don't think that the NIL money, and I don't know if this is the case. I don't know much about this, but we'll take Texas. Arch Manning is making X amount of millions, and he's going to be the second string quarterback, and he's staying at Texas. He loves it there. He's a good college kid. But I don't think the University of Texas is paying them out of their coffers. I think that money comes from alumni. I don't think.
I haven't done that much research on it. I wouldn't know.
But that's where I think that money's coming from. Though. I don't think, Texas has got the Longhorn Network, and they went to the SEC, and they're getting so much $100 million a year, whatever it is, goes to the SEC. I don't think they're paying the money to the NIL. I think that NIL money is private money. I don't know for sure. But I think that's private money that's by donors and alumni. So if you go to Tennessee and you're the guy that owns the Cleveland Browns, he's a big Tennessee alumni. Whatever, I can't remember his name right now, but if he wants to put $20 million in an account to help someone set up to get kids to Tennessee, I think that's where that money's coming from. I don't think it comes out of the athletic budget of the colleges.
But look at how much money these colleges have made off of the name, image, and likeness of these players, like a Tebow. How much money did or A&M? How much money did the University of A&M make off of Johnny Manziel?
A bunch, but I don't think they're the ones paying the NIL. I think that's private. I think the universities are still cashing in. There ain't one university went broke during COVID or anything else. But I did see where the Texas Tech athletic director said that if we don't get to play football this year, we will have to file bankruptcy.
Wow.
Because every sports program at that university relied off of football to pay their bills. And if they would have canceled football that year, first of all, we would have never had Joe Burrow first. Second of all, all those girls sports would have never gotten funded, or the boys sports, because you take away 1 year of TV contracts and those schools are broke.
Yeah.
So it's a screwed up deal. I got one more question for you before we get off here. You grew up in Picayune, Mississippi, correct?
That's right. You said it right.
Picayune. What is better, Mexican food in Arizona or coon-ass food in Louisiana?
Louisiana,
that's right. Best food in the world.
Louisiana all the way.
Best food in the world.
Listen, you can go get a po' boy sandwich. You can get shrimp Creole. You can get jambalaya. You can get gumbo. You can get boiled crawfish. I mean, hey man, I'm a seafood buff, man. And the seafood here in Arizona ain't touching it.
You can
like
call
that.
it what it is.
But I tell you what, I must say that the Mexican food here is mwah. It's wonderful. But I was just raised down by the Gulf Coast, and I love my blue crab, my salt shell crab that's deep fried.
Best food in the world.
That's just my preference.
Best food in the world. There's no doubt. We appreciate you being on here. We'd like to have you on again in about 6 months and talk about the upcoming election.
Yeah, man. Listen. I'm trying to raise some funds. I'm not funded by any establishment. As a matter of fact, I believe even the establishment didn't want me in last year. During the primary election, they never mentioned my name. Mm-hmm. I did a party for the night of the voting, and they never mentioned my name. Never showed my photo. Never brought me up. Not once.
How can people donate to your campaign?
So yeah, go to my website, JeroneDavison.com. And donate your shoe size. I don't want nobody to break the bank or make a sacrifice or anything like that. What size shoe you wear? 5, 6? Oh, I wish everybody wore a Shaquille O'Neal size shoe. Send $25, $27, right? But just donate your shoe size. You wear 12, send $12, and that's going to help us out. I want to reach $100,000 by the end of the month. We're halfway there, and I need some help.
Are there any debates scheduled between you and your opponent coming up, or what's that going to look like?
Well, no, they're trying to see who gets on the ballot first. So once you get the amount of signatures, everybody's on the ballot. Then they start setting up the debates.
Gotcha. So how far are we away from all of that happening?
So in April, they're going to ask everybody to bring all their signatures in, get on the ballot, and then we're going to start going from place to place, from local districts, and then it'll be Republican versus Republican. Some of my Republican opponents and I are going to debate. Usually I win because I'm a public speaker, I'm a pastor, and I get the crowd going. And they love, hey, all of my stuff is American freedom stuff, man. Protecting kids, protecting the border, lowering the cost of living, getting food on the table. And so, people love that. That's what we want.
Well, listen, I hope everybody goes and donates that's listening to this. We wish you the best of luck coming up here in the next couple months. Stay safe out there. Keep working out. And then we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on,
guys.
Absolute pleasure.
God bless you and best of luck, my friend. And I would vote for you if I lived in Arizona.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Great dude.
Yeah, he's
Jerone Davison, and that's JeroneDavison. Jerone Davison. Check him out. Really good story. Enjoyed having him on here.
Yeah, very cool guy. I've got stickers in my hand.
It's all them tumbleweeds.
I guess.
All right. Thank y'all for listening to us. We got 1 week of goose season left. We got a really interesting lady, Dawn Thompson, will be on our next podcast. We're going to talk about Deer Fest in Wichita Falls, the thing she used to put on, and fundraising. And she does a lot for the homeless. She does a lot for the needy and does a really good job. She has a good story. We'll have her on next. Thank y'all for listening. Then we got a doctor going to be on next week that's going to be really interesting. And he's been kicked off everything in the world because he speaks out against the government and the vaccine. Be an interesting guy to have on.
Love you. Bye. Watch for deer. Check out all of our great sponsors. Go check out Dirty Duck Coffee. It's the way to start your day every single morning. Dive Bomb Industries specific calls BHP25 save 25% off at checkout. Boss Shot Shells, MLR Graphics, Shin Gear, Looking Glass Podcast, Lucky Duck, Ducks Unlimited, Double T British Kennels, Mossberg, Stanfield Outfitters, Alpha Outdoor Specialties, and Hemp Hill Farm. Use our promo code BHP. CBD helps with getting old.